News.
I'm Nick Soboleski. Select.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Are you prepared? Are you aware of the threats out there for your safety and your security? This is the Patriot Prepper Show, sponsored by P5 Preparedness, and we're going to help you get prepared. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to noon on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and also on the TuneIn app on your smartphone, iPad, or computer. My name is Duke Nukem, and I'm your host. I am a prepper as well as a patriot. As we've done this show, we've talked a lot about the Patriot side of things. We're going to spend most of the time today talking about preparedness because, I mean, really, that's what this show is all about. It's to get you ready for what could be coming. One of my jobs, I think, that one of the things that I see is helping people to wake up. I need to get people motivated. You have to be motivated to prepare. If you don't understand how easy it is to get prepared, then you're not going to do it. It might just be picking up a couple extra cans of food at the grocery store, or maybe topping your fuel tank off before a storm is coming. You need a sense of urgency, and then you will need to start. You actually have to start doing this. You have to come up with plans. At P5 Preparedness, that's one of the things we talk a lot about, is having a plan. And in order to have a plan, you have to understand some of the things that are going on, that are out there that could threaten your safety or your security. So what are some of the things we're going to cover today? Well, this weekend, there's the possibility of a winter storm. Nobody's forecasted that yet. The local meteorologists are really just talking about cooler weather. But if you look at some of the non-mainstream media sources that are out there for weather, you'll see that there's the potential for a winter storm. And I'm not saying a foot of snow. It might be an inch of snow. It might be 2 inches of snow. But that's only 4 days away.
And what sites do you look at when you're preparing to look at weather? Because you need to know what's going on with weather, and you need to know long term. And I mean, I think most people turn to probably one of the local television stations or hit some weather app on their phone. So which ones do you look at that would maybe give you a little more in detailed forecast?
There are two sites that I really like to go to. The first one is a site, the name of it, the address is W Underground, like wonderground.com, and that stands for Weather Underground. It's a site that's been around for probably about 10 years, and they have done some fantastic modeling of storms, especially hurricanes, which really don't affect us. But the winter storms that those come to, they give some good graphs, and there's a lot of good sites with that. Intellicast is another site that I like to look at, and that's a good lead-in, because the last site is the one that I really want to talk about. It's called firsthandweather.com, and they're on Facebook. You can find them at First Hand Weather on Facebook. So they've got a story: southern winter storm possible late this weekend, but uncertainty exists. And this is specifically for the southern U.S. And so there's a low pressure system that's coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, along with an Arctic air mass that's coming from the north. And it's where that freezing cold temperature meets the precipitation that's somewhat uncertain right now. They don't know exactly how far north that line is going to go. But here's the thing. We know that cold temperatures are going to be here. We know that it's wintertime. January traditionally has the coldest weather for the Chattanooga area. And so, I grew up in hurricane country, and there's so many people that would wait until the last day to prepare, and then they'd run out to the store, and a lot of the things that were needed would be gone. And so that's why I tend to look beyond the 3-day forecast. I really tend to focus more on the 7-day forecast.
And just to kind of play on this, for a minute with you. I pulled up my app that comes with my iPhone, and it's not saying anything about, it's showing one day being a little cold, and that's it. But yet I'm sure they're not pulling the same information that you're doing, and which is important for you, your listener here, to do things like this, because you don't want to be blindsided by all of a sudden Sunday afternoon it starts snowing or sleeting or we have an ice storm.
Yes. And if you look at the forecast, what I'm looking at right now is weather.com. I'm looking at the 10-day forecast for Chattanooga, and the low Saturday morning is 29 degrees. The low Sunday is 19 degrees. The high Monday is 35. The low is 20. And then Tuesday, the low is 28. So there's a lot of chances there for freezing temperatures.
But they're not showing really any precipitation.
Right. Monday, right now, it's going to be sunny, according to this forecast. Well, according to the website that I was just looking at, let's see, that's firsthandweather.com. This is the same models that the other forecasters look at. It's just that this forecast model has somewhat been dismissed by the mainstream media. And I'm not trying to be a doomsayer and saying it's going to snow, it's going to be snowmageddon. But what I'm saying is that you have 4 days notice of the potential for a storm. And that's what preparedness is all about. It's hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. And so what are the things that you could do right now to get ready for the cold weather? We know freezing temperatures are going to come. So one of the things that you need to do in the house is to protect your water pipes. And a good way of doing that is putting insulated caps on your faucets that are outside on the house. Because one of the things you should also do is disconnect the hoses from those faucets, because ice can creep. It can start at the water that's right behind your faucet handle where it comes out of the pipe, and it can freeze right there. And then the cold will be transferred down the water pipe into the pipes that are inside your house. And one thing that ice does is it expands as it freezes. And that's where you can get the ruptured pipes. And if your pipes are in the attic and they're exposed, they could freeze. And then you could have it raining in your living room or in a bedroom.
And the simple thing is make sure your hose is outside or undone. That's simple. That probably a lot of people wouldn't even think about. So it's good that was brought up.
Yep. Another thing that you want to do with the cold temperatures that are coming from a vehicle perspective, we talked about this last week. You want to have your car engine tuned up. You want to have oil change. You want to have water in your car. One thing that I specifically, I forgot, I wanted to talk about, I forgot, was that you want to make sure that the jack is appropriate for your car. Or if you've put bigger tires on your car, is the jack going to work? Bigger tires, maybe you have a pickup truck and you put a lift kit on it. Well, maybe your old jack doesn't fit anymore. Or if you have a fancy foreign automobile, and you lowered that car, is the jack going to fit under there? And also another thing, this is from firsthand experience. I have a 2013 Ford Edge, and it came with a scissors jack. And one of the first months that I had that car, I had a nail in the car on the side of the highway. And being the preparedness guy that I am, I knew I had a jack. I had a way to fix the tire. As I used the factory jack for that, the jack worked really well. It lifted the car, but it collapsed. The jack could not handle the weight of the car. Maybe I had too much stuff in the trunk.
I was going to say, well, you're being prepared. See,
I don't think that was it. I think it was poor quality. And so even something simple as changing a tire is something that you could practice. You need to do that.
Yeah, I think that's important. Everybody needs to know how to change a tire. AAA can make it to you if it's bad weather. So, and right. You need to practice. I mean, I like that you say that. You say that a lot, and you do, because even though, I know how to change a tire, I actually changed one about 3 months ago. So I have had some practice, but before that, it was probably 6 or 7 years before I changed a tire.
Yep. There are so many things that with preparedness, it's all about practice. It's about having a plan and then practicing that plan. And at P5 Preparedness, we can help you do that. Our store is located on East Brainerd Road. We're between Gun Barrel and Exit 3 on I-75. The actual physical address is 1309 Panorama Drive because we're at the corner of Panorama Drive and East Brainerd Road. And you can give us a call at 602-2175. That's 602-2175. You can email us at info@p5preparedness.com. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have a website, and that is p5preparedness.com. And we're also on Facebook and Twitter. We send out regular messages. It's good to register. If you go online to our website, you can register for our free newsletter. We send out various information. We'll send out discounts that are exclusive to our followers. And really, the only way to get on that list is to either go by the store and sign up or go to our website, and you can register there.
And you're having an event tonight that you have every Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Every Thursday, we have a networking meeting. And we call it a networking meeting because the point of it is for you, the preparedness person, whether you're a beginner, somewhere more in the basic stages, or if you're advanced and you have a retreat property and you have 2 years worth of food and you have an arsenal, it doesn't matter. The idea is to help other people get prepared, because all in all, preparedness is really not something that you can do as an individual. If you think you can stay with your family in a house in a subdivision when things go bad, if there's some sort of breakdown in society, if the power stays out for 3 or 4 days, while some people will pull together, other people will look for that as an opportunity to do bad things.
Yes. And then, that's right. They can, you have to be suspicious of maybe your neighbors, because you really don't know what's going to happen in a time of need and a time of stress on them.
Ronald Reagan had the greatest quote of all time, which is trust but verify. Tear the wall down was pretty good. Okay. But I like trust but verify is where you want to believe things are going to be great, but you want to make sure that they're going to be great. So you don't necessarily just take their word for it. Hey, your neighbor's a great guy, but you don't know what he's like behind closed doors. You only see that public image.
The networking meeting, it doesn't matter if you have been a prepper for 15 years, or maybe you're just interested. You've driven by your store and you see your big Army truck sitting up there, and you said, I just want to go in for the first time. So it's welcome for the first time person that may not really know what's going on, or the person that is have years of experience. That's
right. And we have a theme. We have a discussion topic that we start out with, and it could be something like gardening. In January, that's not necessarily the planting season, but we're about 2 months from that.
Right.
And
you need to be prepared.
You need to be prepared. You need to think ahead. You need to start planning what your garden is going to be like. We've not gotten our selection of heirloom seeds in yet, but in early March, late February, we will have those in. And so those will be good for planting in this spring, and they'll last for a couple of years.
What do you have growing in the store now? And there's a reason I asked you that. But
right now in the store,
it's not what you might think with the hot lights and, a little cash crop, but you've got a pretty good system set up. Let's talk about that right quick. And what do you have growing?
We have about a 4 by 4 foot garden using aquaponics. We have, in addition to what we're growing, we're also raising about 40 bluegill that we've had in there since almost a year. And so some of those are getting up to be in the 8 to 9 inch range. And hopefully they'll stay in there till March, and we'll have a good fish fry. But in our system, we're growing green peppers. We have kale, broccoli, we have beans, and we have tomatoes. There's probably a few other things in there. We tend to mix it up now and then.
And this is inside the store. So you come in the store, you just want to look around. It's what's going to catch your eye.
You can't miss it. We're one of the only stores in the country that has a working aquaponics system inside the store. We've partnered with a nonprofit organization that gives us guidance, and the nonprofit goes really around the world. Their goal is to feed 20 million people by 2020 with their systems. But we look at it from a preparedness standpoint, a survival standpoint, because as we get into talking about nutrition, fresh fruits and vegetables are one of the keys to a healthy diet. And by being able to grow food indoors, be it the fish or the fruits and vegetables, that will give you a great opportunity to get the nutrients directly from the food instead of just supplements.
Yeah. And, you said that because you said you have one of, how many you think you have one of 20 in the whole United States up and going? Is that what you said?
And from a retail business, yes. Yes.
And look, this is a great resource we have in Chattanooga. P5 is a great resource. And even if it's something that, you may think, well, I don't know, I'm not that kind of person, I don't even like to camp. But you need to go by and educate yourself by talking to either Duke or Seth or maybe Keith, one of the guys in there, and say, hey, here's kind of where I am. I think about, my thinking ends at my nose, but is there something that maybe I can do very minimal? Just what is the minimum thing I have to have? And, from just asking that question, you're going to learn a wealth of knowledge, because even though they have a beautiful store, a great store that can help you be prepared for just about any situation, their knowledge is what they bring. That is just a great resource that we're very fortunate to have here in Chattanooga.
The technology that we use for the aquaponics system, it's proven technology. And how can I say that? Well, the nonprofit is working with over 1,000 schools up and down the East Coast as part of their the school's STEM criteria or education system. So that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this group that we're working with is the second largest STEM supporter in the country, behind only the Gates Foundation. So they're in over 1,000 schools. They have growing gardens. There are a few private schools that rely on this aquaponics system to provide the vegetables for their cafeterias for feeding the students. And so while our system is rather small, you can grow that system into something much larger.
And I'm going to tell you, these guys are such a tremendous resource. If you're a homeschooler or your church group, you want to do something different. You want to expose your kids to something different. You want to expose the people in your church to something different. Go by and talk to them and say, hey, how can I get this to my kids? How can I get this to my church members? And, they have a lot of workshops. They have a lot of seminars going on. And I guarantee you, because they love to teach as much as they do anything, this would be an excellent opportunity for you to really give your congregation, your Sunday school organization, your homeschooling organization something different, and not only different, something you can use.
That's right. And we can set up classes in the store. We've got a classroom that's in the back that we can seat about 16 people comfortably, but we'll come to you. If you're doing something on a weekend or even during the week, we're available to help you. We think it is very important that we spread the knowledge that's out there that anybody can do this.
And if they come to you, they show up in that big 2.5 Army truck, and that's just cool in itself. I mean, wouldn't that be cool to roll up in it? I mean, yeah, they'll even let you take your picture next to it.
That's the easy part. Yeah. Getting that thing there. It only goes about 45 miles an hour, and it's kind of loud, so people can hear us coming. That's kind of a fun thing. With your food, though, we're going to touch a little bit on nutrition a little bit more in the second part of the show. One of the most important things that you need to do is have a good mix of food. And what do I mean by a mix? It's yes, fruits.
Tex-Mex, Italian. No. I'm sorry.
That's important. It's good to have variety in your food. But from a food mix, you need grains, you need fruits, you need vegetables. But it's also the containers and the types of storage capacity. I love SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs is in my stockpile.
Right.
But that's not nutritious. That I'm probably doing more hard.
Honestly say, I don't think I've had SpaghettiOs since I was over the age of probably 14. But now that you've mentioned that, I'm sure that will be somewhere in my culinary diet for this weekend.
You need to have them.
Yeah.
But also I have 5-gallon buckets that are full of rice. They're full of several different kinds of beans. They're full of flour and sugar. Baking powder, all these different types of essentials that you need. And at P5 Preparedness, we have the 5-gallon buckets. We have the Mylar bags. We have the oxygen absorbers. So that way you can save some money by doing these the packaging yourselves rather than spending $100 on cornmeal.
And I know one of the classes you do is canning. Is that not correct?
Yes, we have classes.
Which is important.
We have classes on canning, and that's where you put the food in a jar. You basically boil it, and that seals the lid. We have classes on that, and those tend to run a little bit more in the end of spring into the summer, because that's when the fresh fruits and vegetables are starting to come off the tree or the vine. And in addition to that, we have classes on how to seal the buckets. And, you know, there's a technique to that. If you don't seal the bucket properly, if you don't seal the Mylar bag,
doing it if you don't seal it properly.
That's right. You want to keep bugs out, but you also want to keep air out of it. You want to keep the oxygen out, because that can make the food go bad. Very important. And we have number 10 cans that some of them last up to 25 years. That's phenomenal. And it's important to have the varieties. You know, you want to have your meats in a can, beans in those cans. We also have the freeze-dried pouches that are more of a 1 to 2 meal kind of thing. So you could split one meal with your spouse, or if you're working really hard and you need the full calories, you can eat that to yourself as you go.
You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. When we come back, I want that. This is something I've been wanting to talk to him about for a while. I want to know the taste of this food. You know, I mean, because some of it, I think he said, will last 25 years. But what is reality? Does it taste good? Does it not taste good? And I'm sure he's going to be able to tell us which ones do taste good and which ones do not.
That's right. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. This is the Patriot Prepper Show.
I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business and becoming self-sufficient. Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years. 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. 875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Call me now, 875-5621.
While politicians debate climate change and taking our guns, they leave America vulnerable to disaster. You need to act now to keep your family safe and prepared. Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have long-term storage food? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? If not, what are you waiting for? Call P5 Preparedness right now, 423-602-2175. Do you honestly think the government is going to help you? If you do, you are wrong, dead wrong. Don't get caught unprepared. Let the experts at P5 Preparedness get you ready for any emergency or disaster situation. Today, we offer a wide range of classes for the beginner on how to prepare, as well as the expert prepper. We stock a wide range of supplies, including long-term storage food, water filtration, outdoor gear, tactical gear, and plate carriers. P5 Preparedness, East Brainerd Road between I-75 and Gun Barrel Road. You will see the Army Deuce and a Half truck, 423-602-2175, 1309 Panorama Drive, Chattanooga. P5preparedness.com.
Don't be a victim. Arm yourself today at Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range, offering the finest selection of personal firearms and ammo, especially the hard-to-find ammunition. You know the police can't protect you. They show up after the crime is committed. The ability to protect yourself, your family, and when called upon, your nation is enshrined in the United States Constitution. Shop the largest selection of shooting supplies on their online store. CarterShootingSupply.com. Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. The largest and cheapest selection in Chattanooga. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099. That's 344-1099. Keep your family safe by buying them a certificate for Carter Shooting Supply Tennessee Handgun Permit Class. And stop by today to consult one of their qualified experts. They'll fit you perfectly to the firearm that meets your needs. Call 344-1099. You'll always find the widest selection of new and used firearms at Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. The presentation of the Purple Heart to Petty Officer 2nd Class Randall Smith's family will be taking place in a private ceremony today. The family has requested that it be a private ceremony, so the location and time will not be released to the public. The National Compassion Fund says that it received $467,000 in contributions from 556 donors for victims of the July 16th attack by a terrorist who shot on the 2 recruiting centers in Chattanooga. Several students at Ooltewah High School are rallying behind their coach, Andre Tank Montgomery. Hamilton County School Superintendent Rick Smith transferred him on Monday to a non-teaching position while the investigation into the Ooltewah rape case is continuing. Well, if you're hoping to win the Powerball in Chattanooga, got some bad news. The winner's in Munford, 25 miles north of Memphis. $500 million would be going to that winner, 500 to 1 in California, and $500 million to 1 in Florida. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine and great-looking weather out there through the afternoon. Highs, most areas back into the upper 50s. Tonight, lows into the upper 30s with some clouds, so not as cold. For Friday, lots of clouds, a few late showers, highs 50 to 52, dry and cooler Saturday. Visit CC's Pizza for the $4.99 unlimited lunch buffet. All the pizza, salad, pasta, and desserts you love, just $4.99. That's CC's. Better believe it. Offer ends soon. And I'm Soares Sheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick. On AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Thank you for tuning in today to the Patriot Prepper Show, sponsored by P5 Preparedness, right here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We're going to talk about food for the majority of this time period. And before we get directly into the food, one of the things that I want to talk about, some of the interesting things that are going on that could affect how easy it is for us to get food. You know, we sometimes take for granted that the grocery stores are always going to have what we need. I remember just a few years ago that rice was becoming scarce. I can't remember the exact reason for that, but I know that it was getting difficult to buy rice. I know that when I was a kid growing up, the bananas that I used to eat, they're different because those banana varieties went extinct. And so those type of things can happen. There's an interesting...
Climate change caused that?
You know, it might have been. I think it was some kind of blight.
Or was it poaching? I think it was banana poaching.
Well, there's an interesting article from the Common Sense show. The guy that runs that show, Dave Hodges, has kind of an ominous story titled "Stalling Economy Threatens Food Supply. This perfect storm could cause you to starve to death." Very ominous. the part of the thing that I thought was the most interesting in here, he's talking about what could happen to our food supply. And he says, namely, 15% of all American farmers will not be producing food for sale during 2016 because of onerous federal restrictions placed upon our food producers. The long and the short of it is that a lot of these farmers, they need to take out loans so they can either guarantee their crops. And what that means is that they are expected to plant so many acres and it's expected to yield so much money. And if they're going to raise $20,000 from this plot of food, then they will get insurance for that. And that's important because, you know, hey, there's some years where there's too much rain and the crops are flooded and they cannot be taken to market. They're either, they don't mature in time before the market happens, or it's the flip side of that where there's a drought and the food is dried up. And so there's not enough food of that. And so when that happens, when the farmer can't take that crop to market, he can get that insurance that will cover that. Well, it's become very difficult to do that. The farmers, because of the credit issues in the United States, they're not able to get the insurance on those crops that they used to get. So it's becoming really a lot of just the big mega farmers that are able to produce the foods that we eat. There's another issue, and that involves the shipping of the food to market. There's also a crunch on that type of loan and financing to harvest the crops, put them in the trucks, and take them to the food processing places before they come to the grocery stores. So why is that important? Well, if these are driven by the economy, and the economy is, well, I don't necessarily believe the State of the Union address from the other night.
The economy is not good.
That's what I say. And so you need to have something in reserve. If we can't get foods to market, or if there's a disruption to the power grid, or for various reasons, you know, we've talked about water and how important that is. Well, food's next on the list. You have to be able to eat. And so, you know, perfect time to put some food back. It's wintertime. I've always said, if something were to happen, and this is my conspiracy mind, but if we were ever, if we were ever to be, if we were to ever be invaded or attacked, the perfect time for an attack to shut down this country, whatever kind of attack it would be, maybe it's just to the power grid, but it would be in the wintertime, because most of us we're not getting really fresh food anymore. We don't have our gardens in the ground during the wintertime. We rely almost 100% on the grocery store for every bit of food that we get. So if there's disruptions, even if there's snow, if there's mega snow and we're shut down for 3 days, a lot of people are going to be in need of food. And so if there was something big to happen in the winter months and it prevented crops from getting in the ground, those crops go in March, April timeframe. They come out of the ground September, October. Well, not merely October, I guess August, September. That's an awfully long time. That's 9 months before there would be any potential food coming out of the ground. So if there was a disruption, we could be in some serious trouble. And that's why you need to put back food. And when I say put back, that means that
canning, or not canning, maybe it's canning, I guess you put it in, which I'll teach, right?
It would be, it would be canning, but it would also be the long-term storage food, the number 10 cans, the pouches, the Mountain House pouches.
You have the things that you can, the pouches, do you sell the equipment for that? Not only the pouches, but the equipment to pull the air out of it?
Not for the pouches. The pouches are pre-made, pre-assembled.
Okay.
Usually they're 2 to 2.5 servings per pouch. They range in price from $6 to $11. And
very reasonable.
One person could easily get by on 2 of those in a pinch.
Wow.
It is 2.5 servings. I mean, that could feed a couple of people. It could feed maybe 2 small children.
Unless it's you and I.
I would need more. I would. And the number 10 cans is more for feeding a larger group.
All right, let's talk, because this is where I've been wanting you to go for the past couple of weeks. I know you've tasted this food. Honestly, how does it taste? You know,
I like all of the foods that I've had from Mountain House. And I say of the ones I've had, there are a few that I don't eat. I don't like seafood.
Right.
And that's just a personal choice. And so I haven't eaten the ones with seafood in it. We have never had anybody that's bought these, that has tried these, that has not liked it.
And are these in a can or a pouch or both? You're talking about the ones you've tried.
I'm talking specifically about the pouches.
Okay.
And you can get variety of foods. You can get macaroni and cheese. You can get beef stew.
And you heat water and reconstitute them.
That's exactly right. You will. The instructions are on the packet, and I say that because some require 2 cups of water. That's the average, but some take 2 1/4. Some take 2 1/2. And so it really just depends on the package itself. But you boil 2 cups of water, and to really just start from the beginning. Read the instructions on the packet. You tear the packet open. Inside the packet is a little moisture absorber. Okay. And so you don't want any moisture in the packet. Yeah, so you throw that out. And
does it have a little spice thing in it for some of them?
It does not.
It does not. So it's already constituted in there.
Right.
Okay.
And it's just dry. It's been freeze dried. And so you boil your 2 cups of water, and you'll pour that water directly into the pouch. You seal it up. And usually the cook time is about 10 minutes. And again, that may vary from 9 to 12 minutes, but on average, it's about 10 minutes. And about halfway through, you'll open up your packet, and it seals just like a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
And so after 5 minutes, you'll open it up, you'll stir it, and shut it for another 5 to 6 minutes. And then you're ready to go. Ready to go. You can add, I always like salt and pepper. So I put that on just about everything to begin with. And so for my taste, most of the foods, I prefer it with at least a little bit of pepper.
Yeah, and you probably don't want stuff really spicy if you're eating this out of necessity. I mean, that may be the last thing you need to be dumping hot sauce in it.
You know, I remember from my Army days that back in the day, every MRE package came with a little bottle of Tabasco sauce. Unfortunately, the military doesn't have those anymore in there. But that might be something for your taste.
All right, so the pouch, we're just talking about pouch only. Give me an idea of a variety of food. You said macaroni and cheese. Do they have meat in some of them?
They have, they're probably 30 different varieties. They have specific meals that are designed for breakfast. There's a pouch that is just plain scrambled eggs. They have scrambled eggs and bacon. They have scrambled eggs and sausage. They have one that has scrambled eggs, sausage, and peppers, or I think it's onions and peppers. They have biscuits and gravy. That's a favorite, especially with the Boy Scouts. That is really good.
Really?
So the scout troop that we have out of the
and what an excellent place for a scout troop to come. I mean, if you're part of a scouting organization, no matter if it's the Boy Scouts or another organization, you need to go to P5 and talk with these guys, because they're going to enlighten you and help share some of their knowledge with you. But so you've got a variety. You've got breakfast, you've got lunch, you've got dinner. Now for me personally, what about the desserts? How are they?
There are several desserts. Yeah. There's freeze-dried ice cream.
Oh, wow.
There's a Neapolitan ice cream bar that's freeze-dried, and you just eat it just like that. And there's also an ice cream sandwich. Mm-hmm. And both of those are delicious. We have near our store, there is an apartment complex, and we have some kids from the apartment complex that will come over just to buy the freeze-dried ice cream, and they'll be in a couple times a month to do that.
Okay. Now you also not only have the pouch food, but you have the canned food. I've seen you got the big. Go ahead. I'm sure there's something you want to finish with the pouch.
Exactly. I just want to talk about some of the food types that are in there.
Okay.
There are and this is mixed with other stuff. So there's ham that's mixed in with noodles or rice. I talked about the beef stew, so that comes with rice. Macaroni and cheese. There are chicken and noodles. There's chicken and rice. There's turkey tetrazzini.
It's easy for you to say. All right. How about if you have any kind of allergies? Is it posted on there? You have a peanut allergy, you have a seafood allergy. I'm sure the ingredients would say that.
Yes, the ingredients are listed on the can.
Okay.
You can get gluten-free foods.
Oh, wow.
So there are organic products that are in there. Now we're talking mostly about the number 10 cans.
Yes.
And the number 10 cans are those are not necessarily a meal in itself. It's not like chicken and noodles.
Right.
You would buy a number 10 can of diced chicken or diced beef or ground beef hamburger or turkey chunks, things like that. And then so that can go into a meal. You would more use that as for cooking.
The vegetables that maybe you've grown yourself or you've canned yourself.
Yes, and we actually have the canned vegetables as well. They're canned peas, corn, beans.
How is the canned meat? Does it taste pretty good?
I wouldn't say it's grocery store fresh.
Right.
You know, it's been dehydrated or freeze dried, depending on which one that you get. But it tastes very good. If you're going to put that in tacos or sloppy joes, I'm talking about the ground beef now, or in spaghetti sauce, it's going to be just as good as that you normally make getting it from the store. And so it's really good stuff. And now with a lot of these foods, because they are dehydrated or freeze dried, you are going to need to drink more water with those.
Absolutely.
And because your body is going to be absorbing some more water in addition to what was just in the food from the cooking process.
Okay.
So water is just equally as important. And then the larger packages that we have above the number 10 cans, we also have 5-gallon buckets of several different products.
These are dry goods, mainly, like you said, rice and flour.
Yes, all dried goods. We have a 5-gallon bucket of whole milk powder. And so you add water and you have your milk. And that is something that's very important, the dairy products. And with that, I believe the bucket is 200 cups of milk that are in.
What's the typical lifespan of the buckets?
That's a good question. Most of them are, I would say, at least 8 years. I think the milk is a little bit less.
Yeah.
We have cracked wheat and that you can grind up into flour, and that will last for 30 years. We typically don't carry too much of the rice in the 5-gallon bucket because it is easier to do that. It's cheaper to do that yourself.
Right.
And so when we're teaching our classes on preparing the pail packing, that's one of the things that we talk about.
Okay.
And so I was going to talk a little bit with.
Well, let's first of all workshop tonight at P5.
Yep.
And the subject matter is
cold weather,
which is
perfect topic. Gosh, we may have planned that. So it's a variety of things that we'll talk about. You'll talk about cold weather for your vehicle. What goes into your car kit for cold weather? Have you exchanged the food that was in there from the summertime? It's time to change that out.
And this is an informal kind of a networking deal tonight at 6:45 free.
It's a free meeting, 6:45 to 9. We ask that you call ahead so we can reserve a space for you. We only deal with first names on average, and so we don't really track you. We
are really cool nicknames.
We have several folks that have nicknames. I mean, I have a nickname.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we're just interested in helping you. We don't collect records and things like that. But so when you go in there, we'll welcome you. We'll tell you about some rules that we have. We don't talk about illegal stuff. We're not interested in your politics or your religion, especially, what you say. We don't want it to be offensive to other people. That's not our point. It's about
how
preparedness.
many spaces do you have? Because it is limited.
Usually we have, I think there's 20 chairs.
Okay.
And so that is usually I don't want to say that's the max because we've had as many as 28 people that are in there.
Right. And give them a call over there at 423-602-2175. That's 423-602-2175. Make sure you get your spot reserved. It does not matter if you've been a prepper for 30 years or you're listening to this show today and saying, you know what, I am kind of interested in that. I don't even know where to start. You need to go to P5 Preparedness and find out what you need to do, and they will take care of you. As I said earlier in the show, they're bringing a wealth of knowledge that most cities would love to have, and we have that right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
One thing that's really neat about the network meeting is that it's the range of experience. And for instance, I mentioned earlier that you need to put an insulated cap on your faucet. And you may have a different way of doing that you found is better. Well, a novice that's going to go over to the big box store and buy one of those faucet caps for $2 or $3, they may say, hey, I tried that and my pipes froze anyway. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just using that as an example. But the point is that if you're new and you have an idea, you can talk to experienced people and find out what they did. You can still do it your own way. One of the things in raising my boys, I've always tried to say it's better to learn from other people's experiences.
Absolutely.
Experiences you learn on your own is great.
Let the pioneers take the arrows, and then you walk through the nice built city. But, even though you're new and you may not have hardly any knowledge, you may have a way of thinking about something that the 15 to 30-year guy hadn't thought of before, because as everyone does, they kind of get in a line of thinking, and then someone brings something new and you go, hey, wow, that'd be great.
Yes.
So, come and participate.
And that reminds me of a specific incident that we had in the class where we were telling people how to stockpile their fuel. And, you need to put an additive in the fuel, a stabilizer, to make it last longer. And there's questions about ethanol that's in fuel and whether it is okay to store that type of fuel. And, we didn't readily have the example or, the right answer, but we just happened to have a petroleum engineer that was in the class that he works in the oil and gas industry. And
that's why you network. That's why you have those sessions.
That's right. He was kind of a quiet guy. But boy, was that right up his alley.
Yeah, he became the non-quiet.
So he was able to provide his expertise.
Something else, and this is big. You give discounts to...
Well, all of us that work at the store are prior service. We're all military veterans.
Very important.
We've got the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps covered there. I've worked as a firefighter previously. I've worked as an EMT. So we give discounts. We love law enforcement, the fire department, our EMS workers, and our military veterans. We give a 10% discount to everybody. If you've served, if you're prior service, or if you're actively in the emergency response area, let us know. We'll give you a 10% discount across the
it's worth going in that, and it's a cool store. It's a guy's store. I know there's a lot of women that are, but it's mainly a guy's store. And just go in and look around. You kind of go in, you look around, and you go, oh yeah, political correctness is dead. Absolutely. I mean, that's the way it is. It's a manly type feeling store, So I encourage everyone just to go by and look in the store. I know, when you say the word prepper, people are going to have, thoughts in their head. But this is real life, the way it should be done and the way you need to do it. This is not a option. You really need to be involved with somebody like the guys over at P5 and just go in the store. It's just a cool store. I mean, I love going in there.
You can learn a lot from talking to us, but we also have a fairly extensive, I call it a library, but it's more like the bookshelf, the bookstore. We have a lot of both fiction and nonfiction books at the store where you can read survival fiction from some very prominent authors, or you can read about or buy books on first aid, or, hey, how to provide, extensive first aid, trauma for injuries like that.
And hey, look, if you want to go, it can be a little intimidating when you go in a place like that. You're new, you don't know a lot, and this guy over here, boy, Duke's been doing this forever. Seth, he's got all this. Keith is so knowledgeable about this. Go in and grab you a book. If it's me, I'd have to take about 6 months to read it, but most people don't take that long. But spend the month in that book reading it. Then you can come and you got a little knowledge and you can have a good conversation. So books are a great way to start, but so is these network meetings. I love these network meetings.
Yep. And you can learn more about our classes on our Facebook site. And we have classes every week, and they range from first aid to pail packing and food distribution. And the food distribution is the amount of store-bought food you have versus pail versus the pouches. The pouches are great if you're backpacking or if you're going on a hike, something that's very easy to prepare. You can't really pack a number 10 can in your backpack. So we have a essential oils class that's coming up this month. First aid for beginners is coming up. That's not a certification class, but we'll teach you the basics on up through some of the more traumatic type injuries that you may have. We teach people how to get their ham radio license, and the ham license, that's for people that are interested in getting into amateur radio.
Hey, Duke, right quick, and we talked about this off there. A lot of people have medications that they have to take. Kind of give them a real quick rundown of how to pack extra medication, the best way to do that so they'll last the longest way.
Yes. In a lot of cases, you can talk to your doctor to get a 90-day supply or perhaps longer. If it's some sort of narcotic or psychotic type medication, then you can probably only get 30-day supply. But there are some other things. There are supplements that may be able to help you. And you need to really learn more about nutrition. If you have a condition that may need a prescription, but you can't get it, there are ways through nutrition and through health and exercise that you can possibly deal with that condition. And that doesn't go for everything. So what you can do, your medication should be stored per the box, per the directions that are on there. But a lot of that is in a cool, dry place, and they need to stay dry. And so if you have medications that you want to store for a longer term, you can put those in a food sealer, and that draws the air out of it, makes it an airless environment, and that will help. A lot of the pill type medications will last beyond their expiration date. And so you may have to add additional doses for that. But you should still take your regular medication, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years old. And you need to do the research on that, because there are some medications that you don't want to do that with, especially if it's more of a liquid type medication that could be harmful to you. So do the research on that. And one of the places that I've learned about medications and things that you can take is from a website called ArmageddonMedicine.com, Dr. Cynthia Kolker. She's got a lot of good information on alternatives to antibiotics. And
hey, Duke, let's give the address and directions right quick for the meeting tonight. And you need to go by the store and just look around, because it is one cool place.
Sure. We're located on East Brainerd Road, and that's between Gun Barrel and I-75 off of exit 3. And the address is 1309 Panorama Drive. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
It's the home of the big Deuce and a Half Army truck, the coolest advertising in the city.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. We'll be back next Thursday at 11 with another episode of the Patriot Prepper Show.
I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine and great-looking weather out there through the afternoon. Highs, most areas back into the upper 50s. Tonight, lows into the upper 30s with some clouds, so not as cold. For Friday, lots of clouds, a few late showers, highs 50 to 52, dry and cooler Saturday. Visit CC's Pizza for the $4.99 unlimited lunch buffet. All the pizza, salad, pasta, and desserts you love, just $4.99. That's CC's. Better believe it. Offer ends soon. And I'm Soares Sheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patriot. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
From all of us here at Hot News Talk Radio, thank you for patronizing our sponsors. It's important that you support people that support and advertise with Hot News Talk Radio, so we can continue to deliver the outstanding programs that you desire. And if you'd like to advertise on Hot News Talk Radio, you can email us at hotnewstalkradio@gmail.com. That's hotnewstalkradio@gmail.com. Or call 423-458-5563. That's 458-5563.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have an event coming up, maybe it is your daughter's wedding, or maybe just a church or office party, then you need to select Choo Choo Barbecue. That's correct. Choo Choo Barbecue. Whether you like pork, chicken, or beef. Oh, yes. Choo Choo Barbecue with their savory rub flavor. Oh, my goodness. It's making me hungry right now. You add in their delicious smoked aroma, and you have set the table for a perfect meal with Choo Choo Barbecue. That's right. Choo Choo Barbecue. Why don't you give them a call right now? 423-843-9554. That's 843-9554. Call 423 843-9554. Choo Choo Barbecue. You know where it's located, off of Hickson Pike, right there at the Valley Brook area. Don't kid yourself. Your stomach